Well, that probably didn't help me. In all fairness, it's Monday for me. So, anyway, let's start again, shall we? Welcome to Beyond the Outer Realm, the spin off show of The Outer Realm, which is on Wednesday nights and Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Today, this is like a part 6. I'm thinking we're pretty close. Carolann Iadarola joins me, and we're going to be unlocking the doors to, I have to say, the mysterious, the unconventional, the hidden. Um, you guys, depending where this goes, you'll have to know where to find the archive. If you don't see it in one place, you'll see it in the other. And for those who follow along, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So without further ado, my good friend Carolann, hello. Oh,
Howdy, howdy.
God, this whole soundboard has been switched around, and I'm seeing things I've never seen before. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
just like,
weird.
what's going on?
It's
Anyway.
bizarro land.
It is. You know what? How many people I have heard? Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out what my board's doing here. How many people I have heard um, saying this in the last probably couple of days, 3 days? They're saying, "What is with all the weirdness going on out there right now?
Yeah.
Like it's just bizarre. Weird things are happening. Like again, technology. You know, are we dealing with like solar flares? Are we just dealing with just weirdness in general? But it's
Yeah.
a lot of little things going wrong. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking frequency, just angst building up. What is it exactly?
I don't know. Maybe it's Three Eye Atlas. A lot of people are saying that
Yeah,
it's definitely
let's
Three Eye
start
Atlas.
there. Why don't we just start there since we're on it? Like, do you want to
Yeah.
just start on that topic? Because I'd be curious to see what your thoughts are in there. There's a lot of people right now who are really antsy about that, and there's a lot of speculations, and
Mm.
there's a lot of blue beam. So are we misinterpreting this? Are we, what do you want to start with it? I'm glad that we're talking about it today because
Yeah.
it just won't go away, apparently,
No,
so
no, it won't. And I'm not used to seeing myself twice on this soundboard. So
Oh,
it's
you
gonna,
you can remove it. You can remove it, you can
oh,
move it on the
and I went to their tutorial and everything, but let me see.
yeah, right up on the right hand, it say hide vertical version. See at the bottom? Actually, it's at the bottom, right over my head. It'll either say hide vertical or show vertical.
Wait a
Right
minute.
over
Well,
my head at
anyway.
the bottom. At the bottom of the screen where there's our 2 little right there. There. See it? So,
Okay.
yeah, StreamYard has just done a crazy update. So, like, we
Yeah.
have all these crazy portrait style, vertical.
Oh, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, did
It's
you find
weird.
it?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's so I don't know. Sometimes I wonder about, not to change the subject, but about tech, because they're always messing with what works.
Yeah.
They should just leave well enough alone. The thing works,
Yeah.
leave it alone.
I
But
know. I
anyway,
know.
yeah, it's crazy stuff. And it's part and parcel to what we're going through, like just on an energy level too, because it's
Mhm.
messing with, like you said, a lot of people are complaining
Mhm.
about the tech, and it's everybody's
Mhm.
feeling it, but I personally think it does have to do with Three Eye Atlas. I had on
The asteroid
guest.
thing, as Mike says.
Yeah,
Yeah, that thing.
that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are
Yeah.
we talking about? The asteroid thingy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I had on a guest last week, and you guys should go check it out. It was really an interesting conversation. George is an astrologer by nature, and the whole conversation was about Three Eye Atlas, and he thinks that it's a positive thing, and it's definitely five-dimensional. Hi everyone. Hi Michelle. He thinks it's dimensional in the sense that maybe we're seeing an asteroid, but dimensionally it's a craft
Oh, that's
from,
very interesting.
yeah, and that a lot of people are able, that can tap into that, are actually seeing that it's a craft as well. And he went through the whole astrological thing, as to how it's transforming mankind, and it's going to be a key asset in our evolutionary process. And he went through this whole thing, which I love that explanation. And I think on the positive side, he could be onto something. But on the flip side of that, I think it's also messing with a lot of people energetically.
Mm.
And I've been hearing not so good things about the intention of these creatures or alien life forms, whatever they are.
Right.
So, it's really weird for us to kind of discern it. On an energy level, I've been feeling off kilter for probably the past like 2 months, where I've noticed it on a like a vibratory level,
Mhm.
that something is off, something is not right. So I don't know. I guess we have to wait and see. The thing that I find sketchy is that NASA is not releasing a lot of the photography and whatever else, the data
Mhm.
that they have on this thing. And they're using every kind of excuse under the sun as to why they're doing that. Meanwhile, um, amateur astronomers are releasing imagery of it.
Mm.
So and if you can believe what you see out there, and that's a whole nother thing. I don't know. For me, I think George might be onto something, that it is a multi-dimensional entity. And that's what a lot of us are tapping into. There was a gentleman who remote viewed into it, and he said, and this again is all over the internet, that I know this sounds like cuckoo land, but he said that there are 5 million Draco reptilian soldiers on board. And
Mm.
these soldiers they're in a state of stasis.
Mhm.
They're like sleeping. They're not here for any nefarious reasons. They're just there to protect in case we decide to do something to them. But he said that they come with benevolence. They're here to observe.
Hmm.
So I found that aspect of it very interesting as well. I mean, the Draco reptilian part, I don't know. George kind of felt that wasn't accurate, because he said that that whole race of beings is basically extinct and no longer a threat. So I don't know, Michelle. We're hearing so much about it. And for folks that don't know too much about it, all you have to do is really do some research. I don't know if I would trust Google too much, but it was discovered by this array in Chile called ALMA, and it stands for the Akatama Large Millimeter Submillimeter Array Telescope. Some crazy ass name.
Yeah.
But it was detected outside our solar system, and they say that the way it's entering, it will exit. So it kind of did it. The other strange thing is it did a tour. It's, first of all, it's the size of Manhattan,
Hmm.
which makes it typically too big for a comet, typically in our path through the solar system. So if you look at other extraterrestrial objects out there like Oumuamua, that was also, there was a lot of controversy about that, and it seemed to come and go. But this particular craft, or asteroid, whatever you want to call it, let's call it a craft, has taken like a tour, and it's skimmed through Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and it has a 0.005 chance of being natural. Some astronomers are saying. So that's a slim chance, because it's producing its own light. So that in and of itself is a big factor. The other thing is it has a sun-facing tail glow in front of it, which is very unusual for a community of objects, like based on those details. So they're saying, and especially Avi Loeb, he's a big proponent of this, that it could be artificial, but the symbolism behind it goes a lot further. And whether it is or isn't an actual alien race remains to be seen. I had heard if they do try to come in to our atmosphere, it's so huge, because it is the size of Manhattan, that it would cause tsunamis, tidal waves, and utter destruction of our planet. So I don't know if it's just going to do this observation path that it's doing and it will just come and go. Remains to be seen.
Well, I mean, wasn't there talk about CERN, scientists at CERN, opening up a portal to communicate with
Absolutely.
this thing, or
Absolutely. And
just
we know what
open?
they're up to.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, draconians. There's a lot that goes on with that. I mean, it's believed that they've been here the whole time. It's
Yeah.
not, that they do came from the Draco star system,
Right.
um, but that for the most part, there's been a majority of them here going back like a heck of a lot longer than we've been around. So
Yeah.
there's that theory that they think of this as their planet, not as ours, 'cause they were here
Yeah.
first, along, with reptilians and many other races of beings as well. So, we're sitting here maybe infringing on their territory. So I don't
That's a
know.
good
Is
point.
it benign, or is it just, taking back what's theirs and settling? Were they meant to come here and settle all along? For those who have already been here all this time, you can get into a whole lot of conspiracies with all of that too,
Oh,
as to
God, yeah.
how they've infiltrated society and
Mhm.
our powers that be, so to speak. But I don't know. There's a lot with that. There's this thing I just read today where Donald Trump plans on going public with, disclosing everything he knows about extraterrestrials here. But apparently, and this is something else I'm on the fence is with this
Mm,
Galactic Federation.
mm.
There's a strong, a strong belief that this actually exists. And then there are others, ufologists are like, no, not a thing. But apparently, he's believed to be in contact, and you can only believe half of what you see and read, right? But there's this belief that he's in contact with different
I
um,
don't doubt it.
beings that are saying, well, you have to, sorry, I have to adjust this, that you have to wait until, they authorize this shift, or to make sure that we're prepared for it. So I don't know, that I saw that for the first time today, and I was just like, well, that's interesting timing, to say the least.
Yeah. I don't know. I tend to think that it's definitely an extraterrestrial craft.
Hmm.
And there's evidence that's been talked about for months now, like the
Hmm.
non-gravitational acceleration.
Hmm.
So the trajectory of this thing is definitely anomalous, right? And then it
Yeah.
has an unusual composition of nickel,
Mm.
and it's also bluer than the sun's appearance, which is not usually typical of extraterrestrial objects that come and
Mhm.
go in our
Mhm.
universe. And the orbit and timing, and it also has rapid brightening, so it'll dim and brighten.
Mhm.
So if they're observing all of these truths, why not just come out and tell us? They did with Oumuamua. There were pictures all over the place that NASA
Mm.
had of
So it's
of that.
essentially, it's like, why are they not doing it now, is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of sketchy to me.
It is, and somebody posted, I guess there was a website up at one time where, a lot of stuff was being posted on it with respect to this, and apparently it's been taken down. But one of the images that they showed, was things traveling with it, and they're like, you see, like, they seem to be more of them. So I don't know. We can, a lot of hypothesis there, but
There is, there is. I mean, and
yeah,
it could be a false flag, like Dolly said.
yeah,
Absolutely, I don't doubt
mhm,
that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's just the thing when you're getting into the whole blue beam thing. It's
Yeah,
easy to take something and run with it. People who are RVing it, remote viewing it, again, what are they seeing? I mean, I know extremely gifted remote viewers who swear, yeah, there's something there.
yeah,
And then, unfortunately, we're caught in this part of the sign of the times, is probably the best way to put it. The sign of the times that are very hell bent on keeping people at bay and with a one train of
Mm.
thinking, which is usually pretty much on edge.
Yeah, yeah. Do you want to see that clip of
Yes,
the remote?
do it.
Yeah,
Do
let's.
it.
I mean, why not, right? What
Yeah,
the
do it.
hey?
Do it. Yeah.
All right, let me cue it up here.
Yeah. Do it. Perfect.
Wait, did I share yet? No. Okay.
Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Let me get it started.
Good craft, and I got direct information from that.
Okay.
And my take on that, I did just remote view the amount of people on board. I also remote viewed the technology was inside, the whole decks, the pods, the whole thing on the inside. So I
Okay.
can see they are using antimatter and fusion technology, and they also have pods housing less than 5 million direct reptilian soldiers inside. And so they're all dormant. They're not using space. They're not eating. They're not doing anything. They're just basically just waiting to be awakened. And they're all in pods.
You use the word soldier.
Yes.
That is a little unnerving.
Yeah, I mean, the Draco race is known to be fighting wars in their genes. That's what they do. And at the same time, it's for their own safety, that they are trying to protect themselves. They don't know what's coming. They don't know who they're going to be facing. So that's why they keep those soldiers in that situation. They're not active. So when they travel through space, just keep them in that state.
Oh, so it doesn't mean they're necessarily coming here with soldiers to attack.
That's correct. It doesn't mean that they're coming in to wake them up all and, to invade Earth. That's not the plan. I'm just saying that they are there on, just in case, because it is a mothership.
All right, Sebastian, big question. While you were remote viewing 3i Atlas, this comet, did you pick up on any type of agenda for why it's approaching Earth?
Yeah, but I don't think I want to talk about that. It's just, I believe that, yes, there is an agenda from the Dracos, but at the same time, for whatever I've seen moving forward, either way, humanity will prevail.
Humanity will prevail.
Hmm.
I mean, we know remote viewing is real. I always look at people as to what their motive is for telling a non-truth.
Mhm.
So I look at the person, I kind of researched a little bit, and I just, there's not always a motive for someone to lie. Maybe he really did remote view. I know Dolly says ET doesn't travel that way, but maybe there is a race of ET that does.
Well, Baba Vanga, who was basically a seer, a medium, she prophesized many, many things. And one of the things she prophesized was something along the lines that, contact would be made by a massive alien ship, larger than, because this was only in the 80s she was around. So larger, I think, in the measurements that she gave would sort of, line up with what I guess if people could say Manhattan, right? And it could hit Earth or could come in within our space like this year. So again, it's one of those things. She's pretty accurate. She was pretty accurate about all of the, shall we say, the immigration and migration that's been happening. It's like for the time.
Yeah.
So it really makes you wonder. But again, there's a lot of hypothesizing going on. It would be very fascinating to see, how it turns out, because they're saying, if this is a thing, and I do put an if it's a thing, then I think what is the timeline, like December, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess we'll find out soon enough.
Yeah, I
If
heard
something just
around
breezes
Christmas.
by us, or
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I do know that on like an energy level, a lot of people that I talk to are feeling just off kilter. They're not, and whether it's that or not, who knows? Everything is always speculation. I know Dolly said the guy's motivation is money. And if I just try not to see everything out there under that umbrella. Maybe I'm naive, but the empath in me can read him more so than I think his motivation. I don't know. I think he truly believes what he's saying anyway.
Well, I think that's the key,
Yeah.
is people believe in what they're experiencing. I don't undermine, what people see. I'm not the all-seeing
Right.
eye, that knows
Exactly.
everything that's going on.
Exactly.
But we automatically, or at least we should, lean to logic whenever possible, and reference and cross-reference. I find it interesting when you have so many people remote viewing one thing and coming up with similar things. But then you have to ask yourself, okay, again, let's be logical. Are you being swayed by some of the things that you're reading? I mean, there are organizations out there who put groups of remote viewers on different things, and then
Mhm.
they, so here's something. Oh, yeah, I was kind of wondering about that. That might have something to do with it. A KP9 CME is coming tonight, so you don't feel good because we've had major
Yeah,
proton storms this week.
heard
Yes.
that too. Right,
Yeah.
Dolly? Yeah, could be.
Oh, and
And I
go
don't even
ahead.
know if I would classify it as not feeling good. It's for me
Just
anyway,
off,
I'm just off.
disconnected.
Exactly. Something is just maybe it is that the KP9. It could absolutely could be. But
Mhm,
I like looking at all the different perspectives and theories about stuff. And then of
mm,
course everybody comes to their own
mhm.
conclusion. And like you said, Michelle, we will see. We will see.
Yeah.
I just found it weird. It does affect your brain. Yeah, absolutely. I just found it interesting that with Amuamua, there was so much more information being put out there,
Mhm,
images. It was like almost daily as to where it was, what it was doing. And with this, it's more covert, being
mm,
hidden. There's just stuff that's not quite
mhm.
adding up.
Yeah. I agree. It's again, it's one of those things. If you have something, an agenda that's trying to be put out there, and I'm aside from this specific one, I'm just talking
Mhm.
in general. If you
Yeah.
have an agenda, you're going to work the media to your favor. You're going to put out there what you want people to perceive, so on and so forth. I think it's very, very careful. You have to be very careful, because I've had people say to me, who this is what they do. They study these sort of things, and they study disclosure, they study
Oh God,
ufology,
yeah.
and just on many different levels. And I've basically been told, keep an eye on that thing, like for real,
Ah,
keep an eye on it. And I'm like, hmm.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So, it is very, very interesting. All right. Where you want to go next,
Well,
Chicky?
I think that segues perfectly into
Yeah.
Operation MK often, right?
All right. Here we go. Yep.
Yeah, that one kind of,
Yep.
I have to say I just don't trust any world governments, including my own. I just
Mhm.
don't.
Mhm.
We've been lied to on massive scales about so much, our history, everything, our education, our medicine, our medical everything, but with that said, Operation MK often was of course a CIA project,
Mhm.
and they used it to determine whether phenomena like psychic abilities, divination, supernatural forces could be harnessed for intelligence gathering, interrogation, and psychological operations. So, the fact, and it's tied to MK Ultra, of course, but the fact that the government dipped their toes into this speaks volumes. So for
Mhm.
folks that maybe didn't believe in any of these things, they need to take a second look at it, because I don't think the government would have gone to the lengths that they did through this
Mhm.
program and others, okay, to
Mhm.
use it for their nefarious purposes. And
Mhm.
it was started in 1973 by CIA Director Richard Helms, and this information, of course, got released through the Freedom of Information Act, as much other things did. So
Mhm.
it involved psychics, mediums, astrologers, individuals claiming to be sorcerers or witches, and they
Mhm.
sought them to try to understand their occult rituals, practices, how they influenced human behavior, and
Mhm.
measure those effects. And what they did to these people is absolutely despicable.
Mhm.
They used different facilities, hospitals, colleges, um, you name it, they did it. They used drugs. They used all sorts of really maniacal ways to get this information out of these people. Now, I'm sure, like MK Ultra, they closed the program after, I think it ran a few years. I'm not exactly sure of when it ended, but to me, that is one of the most ethical violations that you could do to people, because you're tapping into the most private, personal parts of a person, their psychic abilities, their energy, their religious beliefs, whether or not they were witches or not. It reminds me of like Salem, so much so. And what they did to these people, like I heard some of them passed during it.
Right.
Because of the drugs they were given, and I just think it's awful.
Yes.
MK,
Yeah.
my lab, it's ongoing. Yeah.
It's true. I think a lot of this stuff doesn't go away. It just gets rebranded,
Yes.
right? Because you still have people, sort of whistleblowing or coming forward with little tidbits of information. I think, you just have to read between the lines, and you just have to look at what you're reading, and you need to, to just research around, and you'll find it's all very, very much still alive.
Yeah.
I got a clip.
I do. Could we watch?
Yes. Yes. Let's do it. I love these guys. They're great.
Yeah, they really are. They nailed it. They nailed it. Okay, let's get started.
Talking about government hiding things. This one's creepy. There's this thing called Operation Often. It was within MK Ultra. It was hidden from the majority of government until 1975 to 77. The FBI director basically destroyed all evidence of MK Ultra. In December of 2024, they just released 1,200 documents. It gave more light to this thing called Operation Often. Operation Often was a joint U.S. Army and CIA project launched in the late 1960s. They went full in on hiring Satanists, witches to study and see if they could weaponize the paranormal. This is not made up. These documents came out saying that they were doing this. There are even reports that this program had files on spiritual possessions, poltergeist activity, and demonic entities.
Bro.
This is the U.S. government saying, like, let's research this and see if we can weaponize it. This was at the height of the Cold War. They're just trying to figure out anything to weaponize.
They're looking at spirituality as like a science to be harnessed. Because they know it's real. People think black magic, witchcraft, all this stuff is baloney. But I'm like, if the government, they've been looking, now they're like, now we're going to conduct a study on it.
It just makes it that much creepier because the supernatural world is real. Demons are real. Our government was actively inviting that stuff in. It's just dark. That's why we need Jesus. Talking about government.
I'm telling you.
Again, it gets back to, if we're going back to CERN with scientists saying that they have been able to unlock portals to communicate with some, very malevolent ethereal entities. It's not necessarily even, just, extraterrestrial. Again, if you're not in there, you don't know, but there's so much stuff floating around. But I mean, it's not unheard of. There have been programs where they're most certainly looking at, they've worked with people with abilities. Do you remember the movie Men Who Stare at Goats? Psychic abilities. When you look at it at first, you kind of go, what? It's great comedy, but then you realize, no, wait, this was based on something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it all could be fear mongering, and it could not be.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to not be afraid of it, but be aware of it.
Yeah, exactly. And this is, here's another example. Hitler was big into the occult during World War II. Churchill went to the White Witches to try to combat Germany's bombing of Britain. Not wrong. It's true. You can get into, so like Otto Rahn going in on his working on behalf of Hitler, and going in and trying to find all of these relics and digging into the history. They had the castle in Germany where they did all kinds of rituals. This isn't new. This most certainly definitely isn't new stuff. I think everybody has their agendas, and this was another agenda, right? Proven methods use tech to be psychic. and I believe other things, because it is a wide range. There are things out there, they want to know who has the abilities, of course,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, they want to tap into that. They
Well,
want
look
to
at
see what's going
Stranger
on with it.
Things. That's
For
based
sure.
on yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Wayne says fear porn is a psyop that's going on right now. Yes,
Mhm.
yes, exactly. So they do their job. They do it well. Have been hidden from us. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's agendas going on all the time. And there are programs going on that we will never be made privy to. And I think it's the ones that we're not aware of that are, the ones to be the most concerning. But again, if you look into the fact that things have to be put out there and projected out there, we have to know about it. We're only going to be given tidbits. You get into the FBI, the vaults, that they put on. It's a website you can go to. There's a lot of information there. But again, you're still only getting tidbits. But it makes us
Absolutely.
feel better because we feel like we're getting a lot of great stuff. And some of it is great stuff. It's
Yeah.
no longer relevant. And they're like, yeah, let it go.
Yeah. I mean, the philosopher Hegel came up with the Hegelian dialectic, and I fully believe in that.
Mhm.
So what they do is they present you with a problem, they wait for a reaction, and then they provide the solution. And
Mhm.
that's basically, so if you could kind of see everything from that perspective, it brings clarity and not fear.
Yeah,
So
that's
like
right.
when I hear these things, whether it's Three Eye Atlas, you're going to crash into the earth, I'm never afraid. And especially for folks like us that really aren't afraid of death, we're not afraid to go to that next level. Um, some of us kind of can't wait for it to happen because this planet is tough to navigate. It's not
Mhm.
for the faint of heart. So
Right.
if you can kind of just look through all of these theories, right? And just look through them with that eye. Just don't be afraid. Just use it as information and do with it what you will.
Mhm. It's all you can do. You can go crazy.
Yeah, you
It's
can.
like what we're all going through now is like,
Yeah.
amp it up. But make sure, get into the theory of why, are
Mm.
they amping it all up? Why do you think? Things
Why
out
do
there
you
that
think?
just feed on energy,
Yeah.
keep
That's a
keep
good
us down. It just
deluge. Yeah.
yes, yes, 100%. 100%. So
Yeah.
very, very fascinating stuff, Yep. Unproven hypothesis. Yep. Wayne says, I do not fear death,
Fear
but the
death.
matter of my demise is what I think you're trying to say is of some concern.
That's the thing. It's
Mm.
not death itself that I think we fear. It's how we're going to pass.
Sure. You
Right.
know,
That's the thing.
that's scary stuff right there. I mean,
Yeah.
most of us know that there's something, there's
Absolutely.
something when we leave here, but it's the way you're gonna go. Yeah, it's the suffering that sucks. Yeah, absolutely. All right,
Yeah.
darling. Where do you want to go next?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, I found this to be crazy. Let me get the reel ready for folks so they can kind of, and if you've heard of it, great. If not, you'll learn something freaky today. It's the quantum field, and it's regarding lasers and DMT. So
Mm.
this gentleman, well, I'm going to let you guys watch the. Let me remove this one. Wait. Goodbye to that one. I found this to be one of the most mind-blowing
Okay.
things that I've learned. Hang on, let me get this up here. Okay, there we go. All right, let me play this and then.
Okay.
Oh, sounds off.
This is just a video game that we all live in. The Matrix was not a movie with Keanu Reeves. It was actually a documentary. So Dan Wheeler, he takes dimethyltryptamine, DMT, smokes it, and it takes you into another realm and you start.
So let's just clarify to the listener out there. Dan Wheeler's high when he's doing this. Okay.
Yeah, kind of pull back the veil and go into a geometric pattern universe with other beings and entities. giving them profound information. Dan decided to take a 690 nanometer laser and shine the laser at the wall. And he widens the beam so that it's about 1 inch to 2 inches thick. So you're taking this laser beam and you're shooting it onto the wall. And if you look into the laser beam, he started seeing code. Ones, zeros, these very strange. And he draws the symbols out and shows you. Some of them look like Hebrew, some Stargate symbols, things he's never seen, but he's trying to describe what they look. He's drawn them. It's not right on the laser beam. It's as if the laser beam has broken through our reality and you're seeing through it and you see the code behind it. As he moves the laser beam, the code doesn't move. So the code is set and you're able to see the code as you move this beam. So that freaked him out. So he's like, I've got to reproduce this. So he gets a friend, does not preempt the friend at all, with no suggestions. The friend smokes DMT, they shoot the laser on the wall, and he just asked him, what do you see? The friend was like, oh my God, it's on computer code. Great, that's exactly what I thought. He has done this, hundreds of people.
These participants that have done this, they were all high.
You have to smoke DMT.
Yeah, you have to. So nobody can see this code sober.
No.
That's kind of crazy.
It is, but if you can't see it sober, that's interesting. I mean, I have to say, with that, I mean, I did a show one time. I was just like a talking head on a show, and it talked about a woman, and I've heard of this, who had done ayahuasca. Now, I'm told to do proper ayahuasca that you have. There's a place in Peru you can go to. There's like a 2-3 year waiting list, but you have to give them 2 weeks. They want to train you. They want to work with you. They want to assess you. But it's responsible, right? And there was a woman who had gone, and it really is something that when you are preparing to do and you're facing yourself, and because this was your porter, you face everything just about yourself. You get physically sick, you get messed up, and you basically come out of it. Apparently, your journey is going to go one way or the other. For her, she was faced with a lot of nightmares that continued on, like years later.
Oh,
So it's just like it makes you wonder, where it's coming from. Like Dolly says, when she put up her comment again, where it locks you into your brain, cuts off your ability, and leaves you to make your own reality. Now, I've met people who have just done the DMT, and when they report certain things, there is things and aspects of their lives that they had gone through, but it's just changed up in weird ways. But yet I've met people who have had profound spiritual
absolutely
enlightenment with it.
The thing that I found to be amazing with this particular study is that he didn't tell anybody what to expect beforehand. It was like a double-blind kind of study.
Yeah.
And every one of those test subjects saw the same exact thing in the laser.
Yeah.
Didn't tell them ahead of time. That to me is mind-bending. So you really can't. I mean, is that a side effect of DMT that you see code? And if you're seeing code, why? Where is this code coming from? Why did it happen in every single one of the people that participated without knowing beforehand what to expect?
There's a lot of I think there's a lot of things out there with different drugs or substances, and people just get into, like, I don't know, does it just open you up to the point where you just, your mind just wanders, you're just able to tap in? Does it relax you enough? There are people, like, through meditation, for example, get so relaxed that they can do I mean, look at Tibetan monks, like
Yeah, yeah.
incredible things can happen. Now, there's no substances in there, but is it something that, um, just because it relaxes you so much that you can bypass the meditation state and just, you know, and just tap in?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. This was, he tried to make it as scientific, like the pilot study,
Mhm,
as he could.
mhm,
And, of course you can have skepticism
mhm,
from the medical community,
mhm,
calling it an optical illusion.
mhm.
Some are saying that this code is likely an
Right.
enhanced or altered perception
Mhm,
of the laser that could be neurobiological phenomenon. DMT is well known to induce complex, vivid, and geometric fractal visions. I mean, sure, you can come up with a million reasons as to debunk it,
mhm,
but I just found, and he documented everything. He made it as scientific as possible. He can show the data, because I've looked at other
mhm,
videos too. I mean,
mhm,
he didn't just do this willy-nilly. This
mhm,
is an intelligent man who discovered something and
mhm,
wanted, to dig his heels into it. So to
mhm,
me, I found that to be, a real
mhm.
head tipper, like WTF.
Yeah. So is it the same? I mean, it would differ maybe because it's synthetic, perhaps compared to if you're doing mushrooms, let's say, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
like the natural form, which can take you over. I mean, this is something. There are things out there that shaman and healers and
Mhm.
people throughout the like thousands of years, tens of
Yeah,
thousands of years have gone into nature and have been able to produce, and take concoctions of different things to give them, like to really put you in different
sure.
dimensions,
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, this is the synthetic version of that. So it comes into play, and things get messed with. What are the side effects even? Do we know? Does he say?
I don't think that anything was written too much about, you mean
Mhm.
after it wears off?
Well, yeah, just
Th
in even general or just even while taking it,
Yeah, no, I
has there
think
been
that
any
they were
side
just,
effects?
yeah, I think I'm sure they were common like every other person that's done DMT. Joe Rogan does DMT. I'm sorry, I didn't read what she say. She
Oh,
wondered
hold
what
on, I wonder if the
if the
code was
code
all the
was all
same or a
this.
different code for each person.
It was all the same. The
Oh,
symbols were
okay.
all the same. It was identical. That's trippy. I
Yeah.
mean, if it was different for every person, I could easily at that point go, well, that's definitely affected the drug. It's just
Mhm,
doing something to the brain, but the code's the same for
mhm,
everybody. He wrote down all the symbols, everybody wrote down what they were seeing.
mhm,
And even when he expanded the field, the code never changed. It
mhm,
just stayed where it was. I don't know.
mhm,
I like to be open-minded about things
mhm.
and I always like to say I'm in the middle. I mean, of course, unless I firmly believe something, I think I'm kind of in the middle of the fence with this one.
Yeah. Well, that's what Dolly said, because she'd like to see the results. Is there a place that he lists things?
Yeah, he's got a social media.
Okay.
Um, Dolly, I could definitely message his information to you.
Yeah.
He's of course all over social media. I
Mhm,
mean, if I was a scientist, I would take this and again, it costs a lot of money to do these studies, but you can really study this out
mhm.
and make this a lot more scientific if
Yeah.
somebody would. Maybe they are. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
they are doing that.
It is very interesting to say the least. I mean, it's one of these things that, people will agree to disagree. But when somebody does something like scientifically or medically, usually they'll put out some kind of a paper for,
Right.
just to be studied by your peers kind of thing, right? So it's just, again, it's interesting. It's interesting, but I'm
It
with
is.
you. I'm a bit on the fence as well, but
Yeah.
just because anything that becomes synthetic, I question. I natural, it's kind of like, well, okay, this is something that's been around for a long, 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 long time. Dan has a channel, streams regularly to answer questions, and he has a
There you go.
Discord. There
Yeah.
we go.
Yeah, I
Okay.
know he's all over
Yeah.
social media with this. And again,
Okay.
like you said, you'd have to take different types of drugs and test it out the same way, with natural as opposed to
Oh,
chemically.
sure. But
Yeah, you'd have
that's anything. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
anything. I mean, we know how synthetic works in the world. Sometimes good, sometimes not so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But where is the complete data? I don't know. Maybe
I'm
he's got
sure
a
he's
link.
got it on his
Yeah.
website
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you can find his website. I'm sure would be on
Absolutely.
his YouTube channel, I would think. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right,
I mean,
darling.
I think the fun of these conversations too is to throw stuff out there
Yeah.
and whether we believe it or not, it's just out there. So it's
Mhm.
kind of interesting to just
Mhm.
do some digging into it and see, like,
Mhm.
is it legit or not?
Well, that's what we do.
Um,
We open the
yeah,
door, and you guys, I always say, take the time to do your own research.
right.
Just because you hear it here, we do have a disclaimer. Just because you
Yes.
hear it here doesn't mean it is what it is. Do your own research. Take the time.
Yeah.
This is just, if anything, interesting conversation. I went to a Native American church ceremony seeking relief from pain after a car accident. They used peyote, and I took 4 buttons of peyote and never felt anything. There you
Wow.
go. Right? So, but again, you're getting into natural, and that is, yeah,
Different ball game.
yeah, exactly. Also toads, yes, using natural entheogen as opposed to synthetic. Yeah, naturally extracted from mimosa bark. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, there you go. There you go.
Stuff.
All right.
Trippy stuff.
What's next, darling?
So I was intrigued by what's called the Legend of Huska Castle. And it's supposedly portals to hell. I know you
Uh,
know all about this.
yeah, it's great though. It's great. So I'll let you take it.
Yeah, I'm gonna, of course, show everybody this interesting video. Let me add it to the stage. Make sure it's not muted. And there we go.
To the portals to hell here on the earth. Well, Jesus spoke about the gates of hell. Listen to this. The north of Prague in the Czech Republic, there's a Gothic castle with no water, no kitchen, no fortifications, no record of anyone ever living there. History tells us that there was a massive gaping hole that was believed to lead to hell itself, and the castle was constructed to keep what's inside from coming out. During construction, prisoners were offered a full pardon if they would allow themselves to be lowered into the hole. But after the first one came out, no one wanted to go in because he came out screaming, having aged dramatically, years taken off of his life when you looked at him. Are there portals to hell? I don't know. But here's what we do know. Jesus spoke more about hell than he did about heaven. Hell is a real place, and the only way to stay away from it is to put your trust in his substitutionary sacrifice and have faith in him.
I mean, that's kind of,
Well,
to grant them a full pardon. Volumes, right?
yeah, there's a lot, there's a lot that comes out of this place. And it's a matter, again, I go back to the fact that a lot of our ancestors or ancient people would build on power spots.
Mm-hmm.
To start with. They would build on power spots, and some of these would be what was considered stargates or portals, or where ley lines cross and intensifying energy. Then you have these other places that get created. It doesn't mean this place started out that way, but who got a hold of it, right?
I don't know. This, the gates of hell. That's like
I
really
know.
scary
But
stuff.
there's so many places like that where they have said these are the gates of hell. Isn't there one in Turkey or something like that? There's this place where you can go to and people swear that they hear like ungodly screaming
heard
coming
that,
from
yeah.
somewhere. It's just kind of like, gosh. So I imagine there's several ways in. And I've always looked at it as a sort of dimension. So that would make sense if you're looking at a gateway being a portal. That would make sense.
You've never visited that, right?
I have not. I have not. No, that's in the Czech Republic. I've not been
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Not that I wouldn't be down for visiting it though. It's just it's supposed to be like one of the most haunted places,
Yeah, yeah.
in Europe. So
I mean, according to the folklore, this castle, when it was built, these prisoners that they used were sentenced to death. So, like you heard, they were offered a pardon and agreed to be lowered into this hole by a rope. And after a few seconds, the first guy apparently aged him 30 years. He came out with white hair, wrinkles, and he died shortly after, driven by madness. So after that, none of the other prisoners wanted to go down there to get a pardon.
you can't blame them. I mean,
Exactly.
you can't blame them.
Yeah, sketch out.
There are places like that. I mean, this one castle I was talking about, I don't know. I don't think it's this one specifically. I think there's one where, the Hitler and the SS would, they had control of it and they would do ceremonies there and do all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think, if you're going to start, practicing the dark arts, and they were connected with people who most certainly can do that. I mean, look at Bohemian Grove, which is another one of these places. There are
Yeah.
places like that out there that have been,
Absolutely.
whether you're dealing with power spots or whether you are seriously just creating and bringing forth that energy. I mean, even the Native American people and different, indigenous people around the world would talk about certain areas that you should never go to because they just didn't have a very good energy. I think even after having Daryl Denton on and talking about the land between the lakes in Tennessee, that's one of those places. He just said it was just something about that place. It's not right. So, I don't know what makes it not right,
Yeah, it could be like you said that the land is just cursed, or what is this, Hitler and the SS?
Yeah, go ahead. You can read it.
Fascinated with the number 12. All rooms had 12 columns or 12 windows and/or doors. Wow. Well, wasn't he big time into astrology too, Hitler?
He was into everything. I mean, he was on the hunt for relics, like holy
Yeah.
relics. He was down in places through Otto Rahn, right? I think Richard Stanley wrote a book on Otto Rahn. That book was like probably 50 years in the making, so it's very, very detailed. They've been to Rennes-le-Château. They've been through the Languedoc area of France. They've been through different parts of the world. What were they looking for? Right?
Because I know Ronald Reagan was, and his wife, Nancy Reagan, they were big time into astrology too.
Also,
I mean,
Abraham Lincoln and his wife. I mean, they frequented Lilydale, doing seances and getting into being able to communicate with their son and with the spirits, and very much into the whole age of spirituality. I don't think it was the first age. I don't think it was the last. I mean, I think the fascination with the otherworldly, and communicating with the dead is something that's always been ongoing. Spirit communication. I mean, going back, kings would go to the oracles and say, "Am I going to win this battle?"
Exactly.
It's like they would seek out, the seers and the oracles, trying to get information about what to expect coming forward. I mean, this isn't new. You look at even I'm sorry, Mary Winchester from the Winchester House, who would have
Oh,
seances all the time, big into astrology. I mean, this isn't something new,
yeah.
right?
I think it absolutely. I think the pit is sealed now, and legend has it that before it was sealed, dark winged creatures and hybrid animal like human type beasts would crawl out of the chasm. I mean, I don't know. It could, and again, you can't help but think of CERN and what they're up to. They're trying to create, or are creating, these portals into
Mhm.
other dimensions and
Yeah.
communicating with these dimensional beings. I mean,
Mhm. They're
don't know.
finding ways to do it. You look at something like CERN, it's a powerful energy source, and we've seen videos of them doing little ceremonies out in the front. Now,
Gotcha.
I mean, that's whether it's people who work there or affiliated with it, or whether it's just people who sort of wandered onto the property and done their thing. But when you look at the statue that's out there, I tend to lean that's more along the lines,
Absolutely.
of the
Plus,
organization itself.
they have these celebratory events, and they are the most bizarre. If you go on YouTube, you can find them on there. They
Mhm.
are just out there, bizarro from bizarro land. So
Mhm.
source from
Yeah,
CERN.
strange stories from CERN scientists saying an entity came in and stole a scarf.
Oh, I haven't heard that one.
That's different.
Is-
When it says there are paintings on the wall in the room that is closed over a hole, and there are all of archangels and other powerful beings. Okay, wherever, yeah, in that castle, I have to assume what we were talking about with
Oh,
Hitler. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, that's craziness.
trippy.
So,
Yeah, trippy
mhm.
stuff.
But there are places like that in the world, whether whether the activity like this castle, I think you have something like that there, and how many people throughout the centuries. Oh, in the castle. Yeah, in the castle. Okay. Right. Um, how many people have gone in there, and they're harvesting or trying to harvest this energy, and in doing so, what ritualistic stuff are they doing? Every little bit, doesn't help. It doesn't help that
Yeah.
energy, and it's like how many times that, for example, let's just go benign, not on this scale, but let's just say
Mm,
a haunted location.
yeah.
I've noticed it even in media. A haunted location comes up for grabs. Everybody wants to get in there, investigate it. Television shows, especially, want to get in there. Here's a different location. But every time something gets located or gets investigated, doesn't mean that not every there's great researchers out there, great investigators that just, aren't there to try to amp things up. And then there's those who just want to try to get that factor out there to whether they're using intimidation tactics, whether they're just being disrespectful. Then you have those who are just really awesome and want to do proper interaction or reenactments. But the point is over time, what is being brought in the communication process? You know, again, sometimes it's seances, things like that. People, ditch the Ouija board, and they ditch a lot of different things, but any
Yeah.
communication device is pretty much the intention, which is where I'm going with it, the intention of bringing something forward to communicate, or just opening up a dialogue, opening up a door, for communication. So if that's what it comes down to, then I mean, this has been going on, for thousands of years.
Yeah. And it's interesting with CERN how they call it, they're searching for the God particle. Like,
Mhm.
I find that to be kind of
Mhm.
blasphemous in a way. Like, who are
Mhm.
they to do that?
Mhm.
Claim that.
The claim that a CERN scientist said an entity came in and stole a scarf stems from a podcast where guest Dr. Astrid Stuckelberger mentioned a rumor she allegedly heard from two physicists
Oh,
that were there. So it doesn't surprise me. Like I said, you have one heck of a power source. You
oh,
turn that sucker on, you're going to cause
yeah.
a bit of a ripple effect, I would
Now
imagine.
yeah, absolutely. And they're building one twice as big.
Mhm.
That's projected for, I think, 2030 or
Yeah.
somewhere about then. So imagine what they're going to be doing with that thing.
Mhm.
I mean, they must have discovered something. I mean, it costs billions of dollars. So you don't spend that kind of money
No.
on a let's just see.
Yeah, on a whim,
You know?
unless there's something there, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Trippy
Uh,
stuff.
all right, darling, what you got next for us?
Well, I'm also very fascinated by the concept of time really exists
Mhm,
or if it's all just an illusion.
mhm,
So the idea that time doesn't fundamentally exist it's a profound concept, and it attempts to reconcile two major pillars of modern physics, which is quantum mechanics
Mhm.
and general relativity. So let me get this queued up
Yeah.
because this might explain things a little bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
Screen. Okay. Add that to the stage. Make sure it's not muted. And
There's
then
no time.
Okay.
Rupert,
Have you ever been to the past or the future?
listen to this.
Ask us
No. You think of the past, but you think of the past now. Have you ever actually been to the place called the past that you think about?
No.
It's not possible. Nobody's ever been there. It's a belief. It's just a belief that we all take for granted. Is it your experience that the now is moving along a line of time from the past to the future? Is the now moving? And how long does the now last?
I don't think I've ever measured it.
It doesn't. It doesn't last. The now doesn't last in time. There is no time for the now to last in. Now is not a moment sandwiched between these two vast spaces. There is no vast
But we think
space
that.
either side of the now. The now is not a moment. These are new age ideas. They have nothing to do with truth or reality. Now is not a moment. Now is eternity. The ever-present, not the everlasting. But when that now is filtered through the limitations of the mind, it appears as time. The mind is like a prism which refracts the now, which has no dimensions, into a single dimension of time.
So deep. You have to watch this like 5 times. Sit in meditation. Is truth.
Yeah.
it goes
Yes.
against everything that we believe to our core.
Yeah. Yeah. But how many times have you heard there is no time? It's like, whereas man, we've put the constructs of time in place with calendars and clocks
Right.
and things like that. But, I don't know. I mean, it's something. I mean, even the ancients would follow the stars and would tell them, the seasons, but not so much time. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So in quantum mechanics, they
Yes.
treat time as a universal and an absolute external parameter and a
Mhm.
background against which quantum events unfold.
Mhm.
With general relativity, they view time as a malleable and relative part of this 4-dimensional space-time fabric that we live in, right? And that's affected by gravity and motion, time dilation. So when physics tries to combine these two into like a grand theory of quantum gravity, time kind of disappears from that equation. And that's what's known in physics as the problem of time.
Mhm.
It's crazy stuff now with quantum mechanics. Time has never
Yes.
made sense. Yeah.
Yeah. It never made sense to me. Time zones baffle me too.
Yeah, they do. They
Yeah.
do. The
Yeah.
trippy thing is when you see, I saw a video of they took a car and they sped it up so fast
Mhm.
that the car disappears. It just vanishes, depending on how the relative speed of the object. So what does that really say about even the fabric of everything that we know to be true? You're sitting on a chair. Is the chair really here? I know it sounds crazy, but with quantum mechanics, it's really changing our perspective of everything, including time.
Mhm. Yeah. I've never resonated with the concept of time. I've never been on time. What if I truth that time is not everlasting, but a linear measurement with a starting point and an end? We all live out our lives on a scale. Your essence is plugged in along the scale to learn.
Mm.
Possibly around my daylight savings times, it gets a psyop to keep us out of sync and working longer hours.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just
But if you
like,
think about what he said,
yeah.
you can't step into the past. You can't return. So the
Mhm.
past exists in the now, in your thoughts only. So
Mhm.
what did that do to the past time that existed then?
Mhm. Yeah. I know.
I mean, it's
It
tricky
sure,
stuff.
when you start getting into time travel and stuff, you just start realizing that maybe
Yeah.
it's an imprint on a loop or something,
Right.
like it's definitely something. But when you factor in that it's always something that has intrigued, scholars, even back in medieval times, they've worked on this sort of thing, and would have been considered heretics for doing so.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
mm.
Do you think time travel's possible? I mean, we've all seen like photographs on the internet of pictures like from the 1800s. Somebody's got a cell phone, those kind of things.
Yeah, it's interesting when you see photos pre-CGI or AI or digital.
Yeah.
It's hard. The internet is lovely, and then in other aspects of it, it's just so misleading because we see an image and we're just like, wow, and you can't really. How do you validate something like that? Like, you'd almost have to have that person in front of you saying, "Yeah, it happened," and shows. I mean, I think some have tried. They've tried to. There was one gentleman who came back, and he had
Mm.
photographs, and he basically claimed like these were taken, but they're so blurry. It was hard to look at it and go, you know.
Yeah, a lot of them are.
There are a lot of, I've had people on my show in the past who've said, no, there are what called jump rooms. And then I saw that surfacing more and more, where people go into these locations and they jump, sort of thing, right? So they go into a different timeline. But again, it's one of those things that there's so many people who've come forward and talked about, I'm a time traveler. Wasn't Valiant Thor like a time traveler of
Yeah,
sorts?
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yep.
So I don't know. I love to believe, in magic. I love to believe in all kinds of things like that. But it's just then there's that logical side of me that goes, yeah, but how do you know for sure? So I don't
Yeah.
know. Some say you can travel to the past because the memory is different for everyone based on their emotional experience. And then you have Mandela effect. So you got to think there's some kind of a shift going
That's
on.
right.
But
Yeah.
again, dimensionally speaking, I don't know. Are there beings out there? I mean, for sure, there are, extraterrestrial beings out there that travel dimensionally. I mean, people have had incredible experiences, pop in through portals. They have that technology, that ability. Are the people we see who are doing this traveling, doing just that, and have that technology?
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at out of body experiences, people that have had them, they say there's no time there at all. I mean, I've
Mhm.
even talked to Preston about that a few times, like when he's done his astral travels. So, like, what
Mhm.
happens to time on the other side, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Does it does it not exist because it's a man-made construct? I don't know.
Mm. Mhm. That's possible. Mandela effects are weird. I think someone may have tech to change the past, and they are making small changes to see who notices and to tweak it. Hmm,
Or
interesting.
according to Cynthia, who's like an expert on this, um, it's more like multi dimensions that are leaking in to each
Mhm.
other. So,
Mhm.
like in one dimension, the Fruit of the Loom logo didn't have a cornucopia, and in the other dimension, it did. So both are
Mhm.
right. It's just that one is leaking in to the other kind of
Mhm.
thing,
Mhm.
which kind of makes sense to me. Like if you look at the Mandela effect,
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
she's even had so many stories, personal ones, where objects have gone missing and then showed up somewhere else.
Mhm.
Or she's walked into a room and the light switch was always there, and then one day it was over there. So
Mhm.
she's had a lot of those experiences. It seems like once you become aware of it, you see more of them. You start to
Mhm.
see more and more of them.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, that once you see it, you can't unsee it also.
Exactly.
So, all right.
Exactly.
Where are we next? We might actually be able to get everything in this time. This is
Yeah,
great.
it's trippy, right?
I know. I love it.
Okay, so the Dark Pyramid in Alaska.
Mhm.
Alaska is full of magic and mystery. I can tell you that much.
No,
Let me cue up this.
sure is
So
on different levels. So, yeah.
this kind of blew me away. And I personally believe it, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll talk it out.
Okay.
Let me add this to the stage.
I watch TV in the orderly room, and there's a news program on, and they're talking about the detonation of a nuclear device in China. Part of the story was that geologists used that detonation to get a better picture of the crust and mantle of the Earth.
The news report stated that the explosion was so great that it sent shockwaves underground through the fabric of the Earth. These shockwaves traveled over 4,000 miles all the way to Alaska, where they were picked up by earthquake monitoring stations. By analyzing these waves, scientists could tell the density of the rock they passed through. And they detected what appeared to be an enormous subterranean structure shaped like a perfect pyramid.
They said in Alaska, a pyramid was found larger than the one in Giza. I was sitting there watching TV in the orderly room, and there's a...
Wow.
Yeah.
I've heard about it. I've heard about it. And when you look at everything that's going on in that place, you know, Alaska is, I mean, there was a TV series just based on the high strangeness and things going on in just Alaska. There's just so much. I mean, you have,
Yeah, there's an Alaskan triangle too.
yeah, that's right. That's right. So you've got a pyramid, you've got the triangle, you have an abundance of UFO sightings. There's, you know, the base. There have been video captured of crafts going into like a mountain. There's cryptids beyond, like lake monster. There's you know, Bigfoot. There's and some of them very aggressive. It just seems to be an area that has a mix of everything. Disappearances. A lot of people disappear up there.
A ridiculous amount of people disappear.
Mhm. Yeah.
Isn't that where that show comes out of too? There's a show about missing 911. I think it's
Mhm.
called.
Well,
Missing.
yeah, I think it's one of the areas.
Yeah,
He does a lot of different national parks and things like that. So yeah, there's definitely a lot to it. Definitely a lot to it. So, but
Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense that after you're doing something so seismic on a scale, you know,
Mhm.
you've got this massive detonation,
Mhm.
and then you've got military secrecy, and you know,
Mhm.
all this eyewitness accounts, right? You've got
Has
people that
anybody
were.
explored it? Has anybody allowed to explore it?
No, I don't think so. And just like everything
Oh.
else, you know, they
Mhm.
call you crazy when you
Mhm.
try to, but there's a lot of very well-known military people that are vouching for this.
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of pyramids around the globe
Oh, yeah.
that are so many that are just, they don't want us to know about, right?
Joe and I on our show, Gray Zone Uncensored, did a show just on pyramids, and we were just 2 hours. We were just scratching the surface of how
Wow.
many there are out there. I mean, some people, you know, like China, perfect example. There's so many pyramids, and they're not allowed to investigate them. They just look like they're clearly a pyramid. They're shaped like a pyramid. They're just all, you know, covered in grass and trees and you know, they're blended into the environment because the planet does have a way of taking back her space, so to speak. And then you have these other ones that are just well hidden that look like mountains. And then you know, come around the other side, you're like, that's a pyramid.
Do you think ET is building these pyramids and using them maybe to power their ships or
I think
to get the
you'd have
energy?
I think you'd have to look at what pyramids actually were. You know, were they power sources? Were they, I mean, we know the ones in Egypt were definitely, at least the ones in Giza were not. The Great Pyramid was not a tomb, the way we were led to believe. I've been there. It's never been used. You know, and they're finding now all of this, you know, subterranean
Yeah.
complexes, which they knew about in the 70s, by the way, because Dr. Zai Hawass did, he basically did an interview about it and a press release about it. And now it's coming out like, oh, wait, there's new discovery, which is like, it's been there for a long time. But, now we're probably getting more information because we have different technology that can go in there and properly map it or document it, So it is interesting. But I mean, as to what their uses are, I think you would have to look at, the different pyramids throughout the world. Yeah, I think everything was connected. So there's a huge belief system that Atlantis was connected. It wasn't just one place, but it was just, a civilization in many different places, which would lend to the theory. I mean, if they had a pyramid, and things happened and a lot of them went to Egypt. A lot of ancient Egyptians are believed that came from Atlantis initially. So the technology is there. So what if they were, worldwide? Then a lot of the things that you're seeing might make a little bit more sense.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
So Wayne makes a good point. I think the pyramids were focus points or focal points that linked other pyramids around the world, much like what Starlink does today.
Yeah.
Right. So,
He always comes up with these good.
He does. He's a thinker, but he'll tell you otherwise.
Yeah.
A lot of pyramids around the world seem to follow a line. I wonder if that could have just been the equator.
Oh, like
before
ley
pole
lines?
shift. Yeah, or before pole shift. Like, was it the equator beforehand? I don't know. I mean, even ley lines, because they're scattered about. Some of them follow along, but some of them are all over the place. And you're looking underwater at some of them. Remember that we've got like a couple of continents under the water as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's a lot to be said for it. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
It is intriguing. Okay, last one you've got.
Can I just show this though?
Oh,
Because
you show it. Yeah, I didn't know you had something. Do it.
no,
Yeah.
this is back to the DMT thing, and this is the
Okay.
actual. And I wanted to show this because this is the actual gentleman that discovered this.
Okay.
Let me get this up here.
One component, which essentially is what I discovered, if you project a diffracted laser on the surface, which just means a band of a laser, just like the thing that scans barcodes in a supermarket, and you smoke DMT, you will see code running just you're projecting the laser on. And this basically is the same for every single person. They see, in the beginning, they kind of see similar, like they see some structures, they see some movement, they see something kind of like there. But then eventually they drop into the space where they just see the same thing. And we can sit in a room. I had 15 people in a room at the same time, talking about it, pointing to it. You can literally talk about it like you talk about a regular object in a room. This is how coherent it is. That's the gist of what I found.
And how many people have you shown this to that have seen it?
Me personally, hundreds of people, at least over 1,000. I just want it to be, as concrete as possible. So I counted. I'm pretty sure there's like, at this point, it's kind of like this little subcultural thing, and people just, there's communities that forming around it. People kind of talk about it, all that stuff. Yes. This one component, which essentially is what I just.
He's just a regular Joe who happened on this. So I just wanted folks, in case they wanted to see the actual person that discovered this trippy thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty wild. It is pretty wild, Okay, we've got 10 minutes. Do we have time?
Well, the next thing I wanted to just bring to, and a lot of us know this already, it's the impacts of movies and media on your energy field.
Yeah, I'm glad we were able to get to this one.
Yeah, this one is good. Can I show the clip real fast?
Oh, yeah, we got time. We go over a little bit. It's okay.
Okay, because this, I think we need to take more onus on our own watching time with these types of things. Let me get this up here because I can't talk and multitask, I guess.
This is so important to understand, guys. Watch this. And it's not just movies. It's any media you engage in. Videos online, music, anything. Follow the alignment within your soul. That's the key.
These are 5 things you need to know about how movies impact your energy. 1. Every horror movie has entities attached. Every horror movie carries etheric beings that are of frequency frequency match to the story. When you consume that frequency, those beings come into contact with your field and can attach. 2. When you watch, you are opting in. By watching a movie, you are giving your free will for the entities to interact with your energy. It's a free game, etherically. 3. Movies stay in your field for 2 weeks, sometimes longer. The frequency you have absorbed isn't over when you stop watching. It subtly programs your subconscious and energy field in the coming weeks in ways you don't notice. 4. Entities attach to your weakest point. If you absorb an energetic parasite or entity from a lower frequency film, it will feed off your weakest energy point. It might be safety, self-concept, sexuality, etc. 5. The more you watch, the deeper the imprint. As with all things, the more you consume, the deeper it embeds into your being. If you are hooked on a TV series, you will only get more attached to it the more you watch.
This is so
I
important
mean,
to
that's so
understand.
true. And the part about the demons being present, well, I mean, think about your energy field when you're watching these gory, horrible movies. Think about how that impacts you. What say you, Michelle?
Mhm. I have ironically worked with a couple of families who started having a lot of crazy stuff going on in their place. And I always ask, I have a list of questions that I ask, just to try to figure
Sure.
out, you're on medication. Is there mental health involved somewhere? Do we have somebody who might be projecting energy due to, let's say puberty or menopause, or like there's all kinds of things. Like there's a
Sure.
list, extra stress, alcohol, substance abuse. I mean, you name it. You can go on and on and on, but you have to sort of go through the process of elimination. And I remember asking, and this has only happened a couple of times out of, the couple plus decades that I've been in the field. And I said, what, were you around people who perhaps are trying to, you know, um, communicate with something? Were you guys trying to communicate with something? Like they're like, nope, the only thing we could think of was we watched this horror movie based
No
on
way.
true events, and something was growling in there. But I mean, like, so what do they use to instill the growling when they're in creation of the
Mhm.
film, for example? Is kind of where my head went. Well, it sounds pretty compelling with the growling. But anyway, it was that one of those type of shows where demonic, infestation,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of thing. And I guess after that, they watched it and things started happening. Now, there's this thing in the paranormal where they say, like, a lot of times when you are investigating, if you're doing EVPs and you get something growling, that
Yeah.
you should listen to it with headphones so it doesn't have what's called a bleed through into the environment. Or they do the same thing if you're working with cassette tapes, which is really, harder to fudge than, let's say, digital. That you
Mhm.
should never use the other side because it can bleed through and you get just mixed
Mm.
recordings. But by putting it out into the environment, that there's risk that it will bring something forward or something will leach out. So, but this is, at least on a couple of occasions, it was that type of a film that they had watched, where things started to happen after the fact. So, what surged energy wise within the individual all it takes is one of the individual. It doesn't have to be an entire family. It could just be one, where maybe it just spikes a certain amount of fear, you know.
Can things attach to you though? Do you think it's possible that like, can you just like your energy is changed so much by watching it that you're pulling, yeah, that you're
Yeah.
pulling attachments to you? I mean, that's awfully
I
disheartening.
well, I think what it is that, certain energy attracts certain entities. And
Mm.
if that energy is releasing an endorphin, a fear endorphin, right? Then perhaps that's what it is that's attracting things just to come to you at that moment. It may have nothing to do with the film per se, but it's
Itself,
how it makes
yeah.
you feel. And I'll tell you, I was on a ghost tour on the other side of the world, and they've since stopped doing it. But when I was there, the guide was trying to come out and spook people. And it's like, it goes, well, what it is we're trying to, get you to release that endorphin because it will attract this specific entity that we're talking about. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. It didn't work on me.
No.
I used to do ghost tours, so we didn't use that per se, but I understood how the whole thing worked, and being in
That's the
my field.
intention of the tour, is to get you in this state
No,
where you're.
no, not at all. The tour just covered a lot of different locations, but this specific energy that was there, this entity, would feed off of that, right? And he would just he could attack people, things like that. So this was kind of like a focal point of the tour. So this is what would happen, and yeah, so you're releasing that endorphin. So
Yeah,
is
that makes
that what's happening? And it's attracting something. If that's the case, it makes you realize just how close, that they are to us, um, you know, dimensionally speaking, or, there are so many of them within our
Yeah.
planetary space and this time and space that it doesn't take much. It's
Well,
like
what sketched
dangling a
me
carrot,
Yes, exactly. What
Yeah.
sketched me out was this one psychic said that as he viewed people watching a really gory horror film, and he
Mhm.
saw demonic entities around the TV.
Mhm. Wow.
Like, maybe they're attracted to that too and waiting,
Mhm.
right? I mean, who knows?
Well, I've often said, like, we share space with a whole other array of
Mm.
beings within our time and space. You just not everybody's capable of seeing them. It doesn't mean
Yeah.
they're not there. Just
Exact
like going into your dream state. You just things that come in and out. I think we are energy beings at the end of the day. Like I
Yes.
always say, we're energy beings having a human experience. So there are other energy beings out there as well who are not within the physical. Some of them want to be. Some of them just want to wreak havoc. Some of them want to connect on a more benevolent level. But that's pretty much where we're at with everything.
God, that makes so much sense. Well, it's made me, a lot more acutely aware of things I watch.
Yeah. Yeah, it has to be. I mean, it happened to me once after seeing this type of a film, and things seemed to be, a little bit off kilter later that night. And for me, I didn't have any fear of what I was watching, no anxiety, no nothing.
Mm.
So it was sort of like, okay, so that sort of lends to a different
Yes.
possibility. But I'm like, okay, I just cleared the house. Just to be safe, but it helps when you can do
Smart
that.
move. Yeah,
It
absolutely.
helps. So
Well, we got to everything, I think.
we did. That doesn't happen often. This is
No.
great. There's just so much great information. So tell everybody you have like 3 shows this week. Who are
Oh
your
my goodness.
guests? Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I have, aside from doing your show today, which was the highlight of my week,
Thank you.
I have Jody Jones with us on Wednesday, which is tomorrow at 4:10. I always have to get used to the 4:10 part because it's
Yeah.
usually on the hour. And we're talking about, and I'm so excited, the psychics of consciousness, the physics of consciousness, how it applies to Tesla's 3, 6, and 9 theory. So do I have time for one more?
Yeah,
Or
no, go all of them. Don't worry about it. Go.
okay. And
Yeah.
then I have Thursday, which I'm again excited about. It's with Maria Toso, and she's got her PhD on this subject. She knows so much about it, and I love anything to do with like trauma therapy. And the
Mhm.
title is Heal What Hurts, and it's about the somatic process, getting results when therapy fails, which for a lot of us, therapy just doesn't hit the mark. So pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
And then on Friday, again, very excited. I have Janet Lynn Rossman with us, and we're going to talk about daughters who are honoring their mothers on the other side.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it. It sounds like a fantastic lineup. You always have amazing content, and it's like just so different as well. So it's refreshing. As for little old me,
Yes.
so tonight, guys, you'll catch me on the Gateway podcast with CL Thomas. We're going to be looking at haunted wartime locations because it is
Ooh.
Remembrance Day, here.
Mhm.
And it's going to be excellent. I promise.
Yes.
It'll definitely be excellent. Now, for this week, of course, you're looking at tomorrow night. We have Morgan Daimler. And Morgan Daimler is going to be coming on and talking about anything that's dreams. So the world of dreams. Yes, this is Wednesday night. So we're going to discuss the world of dreams. She's going to talk about dream reality, encounters, visitations, premonitions, lucid dreaming.
Oh, I'm there for that one.
It's going to be awesome. It really will be awesome. And of course, Thursday night, Laura DiDio returns. And she was the reporter who was brought in by the Lutzes at the Amityville Horror. She broke the entire story for the news network that she was working for. She knew the Lutzes. She was able to connect, with people who were very versed, obviously, in the DeFeo murders. And she's coming on tonight because it's 51 years this month.
Wow,
And
no
yeah,
way.
51. Hard to
Oh
believe.
my goodness, I'm old.
I know.
swear.
I know. And we're going to do a quick recap, and she's going to also give new information that she's not disclosed before. And if time allows, she'll talk about
Ooh.
some of her other haunted experiences that she's had, because this lady actually went into the Amityville house on her own after that. And she was her dog. I always say, if you have a pet, just follow their lead. It did. Like her German Shepherd went in there and she wandered around this house by herself, and the dog would not go upstairs. In fact, the dog reacted to something that was,
goodness.
upstairs. Yeah. Yeah. And she talks about, if you listen to some of the archives, she talks about a situation where she had spoken to a current owner at that time of the home. And, the woman, this elderly woman, just like, there's nothing here. And then all of a sudden went into this very aggressive voice that called out like the Lutzes and like the boys and stuff like that. So it is some crazy stuff.
Oh,
out
can't
there.
wait for that.
I know. So she's going to recap, and she's going to get into a whole lot of other things. So for all of you guys who are looking to tune in, definitely tune in. And hey, Polly. Polly's on in December. She's going to be coming on. So that'll be good. So anyway, I thank you all for tuning in. Obviously, I appreciate you all in chat. So much informative interaction and new faces. So we appreciate you. And big thank you to Carolann for another installment of very interesting things for us all to jibber jabber about and give some thought to. But again, guys, do your same, Polly, do your own research, and don't ever take anything just at face value. This is dialogue. Take it wherever it is you want to take it. But I always recommend, do your research, reference, cross-reference, and don't take any of our word for anything.
Yes,
So
best
thank you.
advice.
Right? So thank you all again for tuning in. You've been listening to The Outer Realm with myself, Michelle DeRoche. We've been listening to the Beyond the Outer Realm, actually. I'm so conditioned.
Yes.
And a special guest, Carolann Iadarola, talking just about some of the mysteries and the obscure and the hidden, and doing what we do best. We have been on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7, 105.3 in New Orleans. So thank you and have a good afternoon.
God bless everyone.
Bye.